I believe it was, is it June, May 27? I think it was May 27. I don't think it was June, May 27. Doe was supposed to have left the country for Tripoli that Sunday. Richard Moose, the Assistant Secretary for African Affairs, arrived in Monrovia and met Doe at Robertsfield. Doe trip to Tripoli was cancelled. In June, Samuel Doe and Thomas Kronbach announced that there would be coup, that there was counter coup or some coup plan they uncovered. They brought to Capitol building, I think about 9 young army officers. And they said they will execute them. And Matthew argued in our meeting, I recall, say, but if you execute them, you don't think you need to know why, if at all, there's coup, why they won? And Doe got mad, very mad. Anytime people tell you something, you want to believe it, you want to listen to it. So Matthew said, but don't you want to know? Okay, so you bring them. There's a kid that I grew up with in PHP. They call him Friday. They say he was the leader. And those 9 kids, Thomas Kronbach, I think his nephew was among them. And they brought Friday, they pushed him, they, shove him in the room, and they asked him. He said, Chief, look at you. All of us were living PHP. We all been living PHP, we've been living in a barrier. The only thing we see, send a coup to play, you're just be enjoying yourself back. He said that all we see, you're enjoying yourself. We too need to enjoy ourselves. So, Mr. Matthew, they do nothing to about enjoying, and we too want to enjoy. And maybe the only way we enjoy that when we take over the government. I believe they executed them that night. They took them back to Post Stockade, and nothing was heard about them until I left the country in 1981. Nothing was heard about the boys. This was June. In June, the Continental University College students invited General Wesson to Cottonton to install the student government. And we packaged Wesson. The government had collected a lot of money for the first anniversary, April 12, 1981. There's a lady, she was brought on as executive director, Abiodun Jones. She was later on made Liberian ambassador to the United Nations. Find her and ask her what I'm telling you about. And so I went to Abiodun Jones. I said to her, Wesson is being invited to Cottonton. This country, people in government don't make report to the people. I need all the records, we need all the reports today. Wesson is going to Cottonton. He will report from the commission how much money you made, how you spend it. She was very upset. She didn't like my approach. So I went to Wesson. I said, you're going to Cottonton, the speech you will deliver will be that financial report, all the people money you spend. Because if something goes wrong, if you don't report, they will say you ate the money. You say you believe that? I say yes. You say go write a report. You say, in fact, you say sit down. Your bro, Abiru, and he asked her very respectfully and said, Madam, I'm going to Cottontown. Call your people, your boat people. You know, in PRC, that how they use it, when you educate and you get big job, that how they call it, boat people. Call your boat people. All the people money you've been spending, all the money we collected, I want a report. I'm going to Cottontown. He called Boyman family, and then Boyman told him that the Cottontown case have invited them, and he told Boyman, I'm going to Cottontown with you. The report was prepared, Wesson, Boyman, all of the PRC boys went to Cottontown. This kid, he was installed as president of the student government. Oh God! But this was 1981. No. I would think of a name, but is Steve here? Steve will know him. Because he's from Firestone. The kid from Firestone. Very bright kid too. Very, very bright. And was signed Mr. Dr. Famule and all of the guys went to Cottontown. They had a next time. They came for me. My job was done. Was signed report on the people money was made. This was June. In July, we went into another issue. The word came that the civilian will be conscripted into the army. But how you put people in the army? We're not fighting war, we're not in confusion. Where does this come from? And I was told the Americans have advised Mr. Doe or Mr. Doe's security people, the Patriot Minicom, all of those guys, the Tribute Party people, have concluded that the way to contain the debate and disagreement will be to put these boys into the army. Because in the army, there's something they call general order. Or when you are giving an order in the army, you're supposed to perform before you complain. Do they before complain or something like that? And so the PRC invited all of us, and they said that you guys were going to the army. The civilians were split. Some people thought it was a nice thing to go in the army. The revolutionary, So July 26, we were conscripted into the army. I was made captain of the armed forces of Liberia. July 26. I think the last few days in July, word came to Wesson that we should invite the Liberian back. So I told Wesson, talk to Matthews. So Wesson sent for Matthews and told Matthews, Matthew told him no. You just threw the people out. So why you want to expose yourself like that? Leave them alone for now. Do not invite the Liberian. Jangaba Johnson, I think he became later on President Pro Tem on a door and thing. I heard he died not long ago. And Bar Ballard wrote the letter to bring the Liberian back. When they wrote the letter, I took a copy of the letter to Matthews. Matthews said, Carlor, do everything you can. They will not send the letter out. So I held the letter. I went to Wesson. I told him, please do me a favor. Let's hold the letter for a while. Maybe later on we can We didn't send a letter. August 10, 1981, about 11, 12 o'clock, my younger brother and General Wesson walked to my house on GSA Road. Wesson was a good-spirited IE man. Samuel Doe was a Barrow man. Podia was a St. Joseph man. And on and on and on. All the PRC boys had a team. And IE was playing in Grand Bassa in Buchanan Town. August 10, 1981. Wesson and my brother got in a car. So I said, but my man, you traveling, so what is security? He's saying you go and play football, you get security. That's how you can help people. So two of them got in the car. So they went to play football as far as I was concerned. By 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, a relative called and say, there's a counter coup. General Wesson is arrested. 4 other PRC people arrested. But coup where? August 10. 8 o'clock, August 11, in the morning, Doe called the PRC and the cabinet and reported counter coup or attempted coup that Wesson implicated, arrested, and will be put on trial. My friend, all the True We Party newspapers that were in the town, they went berserk. They went wide, they communists, they wrote some awful stories. Do your work again. I'm discussing August 11, 1981. They appointed Podia vice head of state, Jeffrey Batu, speaker. And so they arrested Oscar Quiah, they arrested Wesson. I went to Matthew, I decided the meeting that Doe called that morning at the mansion, that was not my meeting. I thought that would be the height of hypocrisy. 2 of my men in prison, and I go toast. I went to the foreign ministry to wait for Mr. Matthew on the step. He came, I think just before about 9 o'clock, and I said to Matthews, Gabriel, so what happened to Oscar? I was talking about Quiah. What happened to Oscar? He's in jail. What happened to Wesson? He's in jail. What did Doe say to you? He said, Carlor, Doe didn't explain. I said, and you left the mansion, Gabriel? You left the mansion. Gabriel turned around in his car and drove back to the mansion. Thank you, Gabriel. Thanks for the help. He came back 1 hour later, and he said, Carlor, let's go in my office. He said, you need to sit down and stay in his office. You need to think this through, because it will be hard. He said, Doe told me that Quiah is his friend, and so he will not kill Quiah. I'm talking about 10 o'clock, August 11, 10 o'clock in the morning. They arrested the people midnight. And 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm hearing that Oscar Quiah is my friend, he will not be killed. He will not be killed? What do you mean by that, Gabriel? It's Carlor. I thought you asked me to go to door. Okay. Doe said he will kill Wesson. So how about Henry Zuo? So how about Robert Smoke? Henry Zuo was from Nimba. Robert Smoke was from Lofa. Henry Zuo, Robert Smoke. Johnson, there's a kid among them, very quiet person, he hardly say a word. That where's the one? Harry Johnson will be killed. Nelson Toll, I heard that Nelson Toll was very instrumental at the mansion. To take over the mansion, Nelson Toll was. Not Penner. But Nelson Toll was 80 years old. And you needed a grand jury person to be there. Samuel Doe, who they gave the leadership of the council, was crying on the beach. He was not there. He had no clue. Samuel Doe had just come from Diamond Bush. He went into diamond business. But he got a little, the army, they do all kind of things, he got a little promotion. And so the boy wanted legitimacy. That's how he became head. It was not because you were part of whatever they did, planning whether you doubt it or not, he was not part of it. They brought him in last minute. And Nelson Toll knew that. And Nelson Toll did not hesitate the time from I went into the PRC May 1980 to the time they were killed. Nelson Toll did not hesitate to say that in his face. You know nothing about this thing. This is why you acting like this. All the suffering, our people been suffering over the year. You don't know. The only thing that you know, that diamond business. And SK resented every word of it. To the extent that one day in Wesson office, the two people grabbed guns at each other. And so Nelson Toll was placed on Mr. Doe's list. 5 PRC members. And Matthew told me they will be killed. August 10 o'clock, August 11. Wesson had, on number of occasions, Wesson said, yeah, Tomokomba, they all were in Saniquele. They came from, St. Mary in Saniquele. So they've been knowing each other for long. They were good friends. So when they arrested them, and Matthew gave me this bad news, I decided to go to Tomokomba. It was about 11:30 in the morning now. I used to call him Tom. I said, Tom, you got to help me today. And there's some people, they fool our men there, and those people that fool our men there, they will do this, and we do this. And I said, Tom, please, if somebody fool your man, then correct it. You have the opportunity. Let me make a proposal to you that you cannot refuse. I'll go to the airfield, I will get a plane, and we ship them to Belayara. He said to me, why are you talking like that? You know about the coup. I said, Tom, I have seen you were signed together in the most private situation with your girlfriends. That your friend I'm talking about. You have an opportunity to save him. And Tom went on how this and that and that and that and communists and socialists, and Tom went off. 3 hours later, he ordered my arrest. talking about August 11, 1981. August 12th. In fact, that day they carried these boys to Supreme Court. I saw Emmanuel Buyo here this morning. He was reporting for one of the newspapers. Ask him. He was on the ground. I think we had a cover. Emmanuel Buyo, all the boys, they were working for the newspaper. I think Liberian Star or like one of the papers. But ask them. Liberian Age. If you get an occasion to talk to Wiade Koba, ask her about this morning, August 11. Because we're all friends, so I went to Buyo, I went to Wiade, so they would just tell me what happened to Wesson. I was running out of option. I went to my brother, who happened to have been a very successful lawyer, to reach out to all the top crown people in this town. And everywhere he went, the door was closed. Wesson must be killed. No time. The week before this situation, Quiah, the Minister of Internal Affairs, had invited all the chiefs and superintendents to come so that a conversation can start to take place about decentralization. To talk about how government can do business. We wanted the chief superintendent, the cabinet, the council people to have a meeting. August 12 came and passed. They say Wesson and the 4 people, they took them to court. These communities, then the boys started to come. Gaddafi had given the PRC boys, the boys that were arrested, Gaddafi gave them money, and they sort of made the country communist place, and all kind of stuff. August 13, 1981. Mr. Doe convened the meeting with the chiefs. The chief issued a resounding support for those positions to kill members of the council. You talk about the failure of the PRC. You talk about what has happened to our country from 1980. You can situate the problem that I'm discussing now to that issue. The councilmen were killed. They are now effectively put away the communist threat. Now they can go on ever after to do government business. The True Will Party was situated in charge of security, domestic and foreign policy. After the execution of General Wesson, Matthew went to the United Nations, and some crown people in the state reported that Matthew was not kind to the chairman of the People Redemption Council. They fired Matthews. Boyman's family was then serving as Minister of Education. He was transferred to Foreign Affairs. The council, the way it was arranged, or the way it turned out, you had 2 councils. You had some people who didn't care, who just want to enjoy themselves. They just wanted to have a nice time. They look good. You comb your hair, you look like Emmanuel Shaw. You wear Emmanuel Shaw suit. And you have some of them that wanted to talk about the country. Wanted to talk about the country. And they kill, they say, On Wednesday, after the condemnation of the chiefs, they announced that Wesson and the military and the 4 men will be executed on Friday. Wesson's daughter asked me the other day, she had gone to see Commander Wesson, your baby. And Wesson, when Wesson comes, he will tell you his own story. Wesson was almost killed. And Wesson believe he lives today because Wesson saved his life. So he wanted to just say thank you to this little college kid. Say your father, and he sent for me. So I saw Chinese, they call Chinese girl. Say, Uncle Deacon never told me. How do I explain to this child, I went to battle with her father, I lost him? How do I explain that? When I needed General Wesson on the morning of April 14, 1979, he was there. When he needed me, I was not there. How do I explain to him? And they say he will be killed Friday morning. I came out at Post Taki. Sat down, walked into PHP, walk up and down, hoping that they will bring them out, No. They killed them. They killed them. They killed them. They killed them because they say the soldier will go to the barrack. They killed them because they say that we must find money to fix this country. That's the crime they committed. They killed them. When Dr. Sawyer comes here, ask him to discuss the relationship, the bipolar, the Cold War situation. The East-West conflict. How Liberia got trapped into that. And how the boys, the innocent sons, got killed because of the East-West rivalry. Raise it with him. Raise it with him. He will do justice to the subject. He understands it very well. The American and the Soviet. The American and the Soviet. The Cold War. If I were to make a wish to the commission, sir, I know there are a couple of people in this town who know where the burial was signed and the other military people. I wish you would ask them. I wish you would ask so that my family can bury Wesson too. So we can carry him wherever we want to. So that people from Nimba can take Henry Zoo and bury him their way. So that people from Lofa can take Rabo Sumo and bury him their way. I wish it was possible in the process of healing that we too can bury our man. Because he didn't do anything. Wesson did not do anything. Wesson said, let's fix our country, and he got killed. I wish somebody would just give his body to us so we too can bury him. Maybe so we can bring closure. Because we need it, and we need it bad. They know where they bury him. I want to protect them, so I wouldn't call their name. Off camera, you ask me, I'll get their name to you. Because they know where they bury him. At the time, Senator Prince Johnson was bodyguard to Thomas Kwangba. Ask him. He knew a thing or two. Ask him. He knew a thing or two. Your bodyguard to Thomas Korumba. And when Wesson died, some of our Sapo people, they say Korumba was our friend. Everything, they go to Tom and Tom will cry and he say, and the way the people, the Wesson thing. Begin, let me make a wish. Whenever you put your reconciliation package together, could you please just add a discussion so that you can give up Wesson body to bury? I'd like to know, even if the commission said no, please let me know. I wouldn't hold it against any of you. I wouldn't. My family need. My father was buried. They kill him. They walk away. My nephews, they were burned. They wrapped them up in a mattress and they burned them. Some were raped. My uncle was walking at Dupo Road Gate, God bless you, checkpoint, and they shot him. They shot him in the back, and my brother had to walk by him. I'm not complaining. It's all right. That war. Wesson is not war. No, it's not war. It's not war. I, as a social worker, wherever trauma thing you do, you want help with, you want my input, you want my talents, I make myself available, completely available to the tribunal. They got killed. 1980, 1981, when they killed Wesson, Robert Zuo, Henry Zuo, Robert Sumo, Henry Zuo, and something in me went with them. I stopped liking government. I lost interest. I'm sure a lot of young people lost interest in government. PRC didn't mean anything to me anymore. Late November, early December, the war was, Samuel Doe didn't want me in Capitol building, he didn't want to see me. And this day, it was December 10. Jeffrey Batu, the Speaker of the People Redemption Council, came to Capitol building. I used to go to work 7:30 in the morning. And he came, he said, I want to see you today. He said, if I have money come, I will give you a ticket to leave this town today. I said, damn, but thank God you don't get money because I'm leaving nowhere. He said, I'm serious, Karn. You got to leave. So I tore a lot of trash to him. It was about, I left the office about 8 in the morning. I went in my office and wrote a letter straight to Podia. Indicating to Podia that I was going to America. My wife was very sick. I couldn't stay here. I needed to be to the hospital. There's a guy who used to work for Podia, they call him Bank. I hope he stay alive because he was very helpful. He wrote a letter for General Podia and he drove to Podia's house. Podia signed a letter. Podia said, Deacon, so you're running away. I said, well, come on, General. He signed a letter. I ran to Boyman. As it began, he put his hand around me. Very emotional morning. We two have respected each other from distance, and we fell in love with each other. He put a hand around me. We walked to the office. He said, so what is this now? I said, I've come to the end of my journey, Quiah. So I need a letter. In less than 15 minutes, I got a letter with the foreign ministers asking the Americans to help me out. I had a friend who was working for USAID. You know, they used to have their information place. I went to him. They call it Boy Gray. He said, thank God you're leaving. In less than 30 minutes, I have visa. I didn't have money for ticket. I went to Ismo Jones. He was just made Minister of Commerce. He said, but Karn, you the one who said you don't want money, you don't want both fees and all that foolishness. So what you want now? I said, please help me, man. I need ticket. There's a girl that was working for him, Catherine Montgomery. He called Catherine and said, find ticket for Karn. He gave me a round trip ticket. That day, Emmanuel Buya was with me. All through those last 2 days I spent here in tears. And off I went. December 12, 1981. I arrived in New York. I stayed in New York up to 1983, trying to find out what to do with myself. I lost everything. Everything I stood for in my life was under attack. Then I decided I would get active in a Liberian union, in a Union of Liberian Association. I would get active. And we kicked Samuel Doe butt. We did. Everything that this government, that Samuel Doe and his True Will Party friends were doing, we uncovered it and we raised the voice in the Hall of Congress. We did. We did. They attacked the students. PRC came to power on the back of students. And you go to LU campus and you rape our ladies? Amen. We just couldn't accept that. We could not accept the invasion of the University of Liberia. It was an attack on every man of goodwill in our country. Then I heard Nimba raid. I don't know how much you know about the Nimba raid. I don't know how much people in our country know today after 30 years or 25 years. Sometimes in this place we quick on seeing the tribal people fighting each other. I like to argue that PRC is not the Dio people, did not fight the Crown people. No. Nor did the Mandingo people, and Crown people, and Gio people, all of that crap. Thomas Kolomba and his friend Samuel Doe, friendship turned to cat shit. And they drew the Crown people, they drew the Gio people and said, Crown fighting Gio. 1980, Nimba County, of all the government, cabinet, public corporations, Nimba had the highest. But by 1981, 1982, Doe became very, very unpopular. Like I said to you, Nimba was the place of power. Prior to the coup, there was always rivalry between PAL and Lamco security. To the extent that the security people fired at Oscar Quiah's window. He was sitting at a table, and by God's grace, they couldn't miss him. The man Charles Julu was in charge of the Lamco police. The men that were harassing the power people in the area were the Lamco police. And I believe that as Mr. Doe began to wave his crown flag, the guys, Sam Doki and some other people, launched an attack on Chajulu. That's what they call the Nimba raid. It was not crown people attacking Gio people. No. It was people trying to set up score among themselves. And then in the process, we hiding our position by the place we come from. When Koba and Samuel Doe murder were signed, there were some Sapu people who wanted us to take on Samuel Doe. And you will have reduced it that crown people fighting Sapu people. But it was not crown and Sapu people. And today some crown people or Gida people try to make it that the Sapu people and the crown people have a conflict. No, they don't. Samuel Doe bosses told him that Wesson was the problem. And he went to get rid of Wesson. And Wesson happened to have been a Sapu person. And as the good Lord will have it, the Sapu people, like our people say, they left their own with God. They didn't attack Mr. Doe. They didn't attack Tomo Komba. They left them. And so the Sapu people gravitated to Tomo Komba as their man. They thought and concluded that Tomo Komba would be supported. Or whoever Sapu person that got in trouble, they ran to Tomo Komba. What I'm saying, the conflict that was now evolving in the People Redemption Council, it had nothing to do with Crown, with Gio, nothing. It had to do with friends who decided for their own, for different reasons, to get at each other. So, Nimba raid took place. Sam Doki and the other people, they attacked Chad Julu house. I understand some of Julu family got killed and all of that. Then they begin to patch it up now. The Crown people and the Nimba people. They, I guess, sadly, for my friend DK Wanselier, the Komba coup. First, the word came that Tom Komba were progressive and he want Doe to go to the barrier. I told people that crazy. Tom Komba had a chance. For 2 years we were debating for the military to return to the barrier, and Tom Komba had no position. Some people got excited, they call him strong man. Yes, Tom was very helpful to a lot of people in 1980. If you went to Tom, people were looting, people, and Tom was always there. You are always there. You are very helpful. Any people who were living at that time who went to BDC for help got help from Tom Kwomba. So yes. But when it came to the substantive matter of making Liberia better, Tom buckled. He blinked. He blinked. So they killed all the guys. You know, they killed them. And one day there was some meeting taking place, and Podia was trying to, Mr. Vice President Doto, I killed Thomas Wesson, nothing happened, I can kill you and nothing will happen. Yeah, well, I took my way. And then the war came, elections. And the True Party, I told you that they spanked us. The engineer, at that time now, Dr. Sawyer and people had completed the Constitution. Edward B. Kessely of the True Party was made head of the Constituency Assembly. Edward B. Kessely. Information Minister, Postal Affairs Minister. He was B-boy man. And he was a star. This guy had come from school with PhD, and he went to San Quile and delivered an oration, and they said they must change this, they must change that. He became an instant star. Tower made Minister of Information straight. Now, at 90, the Sawyer Commission, they completed a draft constitution and they gave it to the assembly for approval. And at that time there was a word that Dr. Kessely, if they went to election, he would be the vice president. In a mansion at that time, John Ramsey, Bernard Blamo, the guy who ran on CDC TK as VP, what's his name? Johnson. These boys were starred, they know bold, they get experience, they were the technocrats of the True Party. And so now they brought them back to government so that all the development money that left Liberia will come back. Yeah. And they decided, then at first, they thought that maybe Mr. Doe was going to give some of them blessing so that they will do this election business. The engineer, Mr. Doe, then Doe banned Progressive People Party that became UPP. Doe banned Moja that became Liberia People Party. And so for them, if you took Moja out, you took PAR out, then they will have a fee day. Samuel Doe jumped at it because Samuel Doe had one little interest, but he played tight to a chess. When Jackson Doe and a group come to Samuel Doe, he tell them what he think they want to hear. When the other people come, he tell them what they want to hear. And there were some people in the True Party who were in the mansion at that time who concluded that if they took Doe with them as their man, then their chances of winning will be better. And so, well, I call it they split the difference. All the technocrats formed LAP, that the boy for LAP. Dr. Kessely, he had gone to the Constituency Assembly and had butchered the Sawyer Constitution. This commission can take the Sawyer Constitution and take the Kessely Constitution, lay it side by side, and see what I call butcher, and see what they did to the Constitution. They did. They did a very good job. Well, the history is Samuel Doe became president. I don't want to take you through all of those because they're not important. Doe became president. When Doe became president, now Kongba say he be me. He active now, and he will do something. I thought that was very late. The gentleman was late. And all of what I'm saying, the country progressively was slipping into war. In 1988, I think, Mr. Gabriel Bacchus Matthews was invited by the press. And Matthew indicated that any effort to take our country to war, one, will not have election, and two, there will be destruction of lives and property. And therefore, United People's Party, PAL, the change to PPP, when a ban was lifted on politics, Mr. Matthew and Marcus Dan, Blamo Nelson, Alfonso Quiah, in their best judgment, they believe when you change the party from PPP to UPP, some people, other people will come to our party. I think at that moment they forgot their lesson in class dialectics. They forgot. And they believe all the people they've been opposing all the years, they will form alliance or alliances with them. And it never happened. Matthew issued a statement that war will be unacceptable, and the Doe people, they condemn Matthews, they made look like nothing. 1990, the war came. Matthew again issued that United People Party will be opposed to the war. That the war will be very, very, very troubling. It will bring harm to the country. It will throw the country back again. The war took place. You know the story better than I do. I came back, I participated, I served as Executive Director of the National Readjustment Commission, doing some social work stuff. But Mr. Chairman, I want to say thank you for affording me the opportunity to come and have a conversation with you. I hope I made a contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness, for honoring our invitation, for coming to deliberate with us on the burning issues of our past. We also take note of the social commentaries you made, including commentaries on the work of the Commission. Before we move forward, we'd just like to make one or two comments. One has to do with protection for witnesses who appear before the Commission. The TRC Act is very, very clear that all testimonies before the Commission are protected and may never be used in any court of law. And to date, all of our witnesses have enjoyed that protection, and no one have taken any of them to court. There was one incident where an ambassador chose to take a witness to court because of testimonies made in River G County. And instantly the Commission was alerted. We made legal representations to the court, and that matter resolved itself. Secondly, with respect to the timeline, we appreciate that this issue was raised, but during the process of the drafting of the TRC Act, it was a matter of public debate. And rightfully so, the legislature agreed and thought that from 1979 to 2003, most of the actors are now alive and will be in a position to provide live information for the Commission. The truth-searching process of the Commission is not a one-way track. We are using several approaches and methods available to the Commission, apart from just research. However, the TRC Act also provides if there's any case of interest that any citizen raises that predates 1979, the Commission, out of obligation, should investigate that particular case. Secondly, the Act also authorized that we conduct a comprehensive review of our history. And that is why we appreciate it when witnesses come and they throw light on historical events and reflect on the past as a way of understanding those antecedents that may have impacted the events and the destiny of the country from 1979 to 2003. In September, the Committee on Historical Review will convene here, and that will be public. We have great historians who are writing elaborately on Liberia with big presentations on the history of Liberia. Having said that, once more, we want to thank you very much and want to indulge you that the Commission will take a break for 1 hour, following which we'll return after refreshing ourselves for questioning from the Commission. Thank you very much.